Welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. The podcast with as many podders now as thankfully, and for once, Rangers have goal scorers. This week in Heart and Hand, 5 goals, finances, flights and hysteria. I know, that made my OCD twitch as well. So welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name's Ian Hogg, and for this week, I'll be your host with David on the other side of the world, head wasted by his multi-trip time zones. He's across at ORSA in New Zealand, and we've got a slightly different flagship for you. I'd love to say inspired by those multi-time zones, but in reality, a little cobbled together and recorded at different times as well as time zones. Joining me for the first part of the show is my good mate, lover and Livingston Lothario, it's Cameron Bell. Campbell, how the devil are you?
I'm good, my friend, I'm good. I will say the flagship's already better with your presence on it.
And yours, there you go. Twice the fun and no refunds. There you go.
We don't need him, I mean.
Well, he's given me the password, you see.
What an idiot.
Exactly. Next stop, the knicker drawer. So, as I say, well, myself and Cammy will review the Hamilton match from the weekend, a win and lots of goals, thank the Lord. Quickly review the hysteria in the media, and let's face it, I don't really want to spend too much time in that. And then split the pod into 2 further parts. A segment with David and Gordon Watson from 11,000 miles away on the ORSA event. And then an update from Andy McGowan on the mid-year financial results posted today by Rangers at the time of recording on Monday the 25th of February 2019. So yesterday, Sunday, we defeated Brian Rice's Hamilton Academicals by 5-0. Great first half performance, lots of goals and chances, comfy and a little flatter in the second half, but again lots of chances. Can be 5 different goal scorers in the first 5 different scorers, 4 goals in the first half. Ryan Jack with scoring from outside the box. Scott Arfield outside the box. My God, wonders will never cease. Second goal, a cracking header from Jermaine Defoe. And James Tavernier with a good penalty after Ryan Kent inexplicably being wiped out by Ziggy Gordon. Second half, praise the Lord, and it's not even March yet. Kyle Lafferty scores his first league goal since September. Cammy, bloody good win, wasn't it?
It was excellent. I think the calibre of goals that you saw, including the setup, for Defoe's, really great quality play. We're not going to moan too much about surfaces because, again, like you say, I think we've had our kind of fill with plastic surfaces, but we zipped the ball around really nicely, some good tidy passing, alternated some ideas, so rather than all having to come from the flanks, we were able to penetrate through the middle, which is a nice little bit of change. You see goals from outside the area. It was an excellent performance all in, rounded off by the Prince of Ulster coming on to seal the victory.
Yeah, he only had about 8 chances to score, but I tell you what, when he scored, he was clearly relieved after that 5th goal, as were the management team. They were egging him on to score. Gary McAllister in the dugout with each missed chance as it went by. He was living the frustration along with Kyle Lafferty. So it was lovely to see, really lovely to see when it went in that the management team were right behind him. So too was Jermaine Defoe. The pair of them seemed to have struck up a wee bromance at the end of the game.
Yeah, Andy Halliday as well seems to be quite taken with Jermaine Defoe as well. But I think it's probably, all the, the off the field stuff aside, because we know what Defoe's certainly done, certainly for charity awareness and etc. But I think Jermaine Defoe is just one of these just really nice guys. I think, obviously he has played for a number of different clubs. He's been able to settle in where he's went to, and I think he certainly extends himself to make some some good relationships with his teammates and stuff. And yeah, absolutely. Looked really, really good at the weekend, I thought. And his goal in particular, nice to see, because sometimes, I mean, he'll not be used to playing a proper game on a surface like that. But no, absolutely, I thought Defoe did very, very well yesterday.
And lots of great performances from, I think, right throughout the pitch. Alan McGregor was rubbish, wasn't he? However, you look at both flanks, and you know, I know I bang on about it lots, Cammy, about James Tavernier and Daniel Candeias down the right. Andy Halliday and Ryan Kent on the left, I thought, were excellent as a tag team. The guy that I think made us tick, and on the Patreon site, I gave him a little bit of a hard time for his debut, much to the disgust of practically all of the rest of the pod squad, is Glenn Kamara. I thought he had a relatively poor debut last week. But then, he was maybe one of the better ones out of a team of just dross. Wednesday night against Kilmarnock, he was excellent. And yesterday, I thought he was tremendous. See, for 50 grand, there's 3 games in, one poor one in comparison to the rest of in line with the rest of the players. And 2 cracking performances. I think he kept it neat, tidy, biting into the tackle, always looking for a forward pass, not side to side. And it really opened up Ryan Jack to get forward, and which in turn allowed additional space for Scott Arfield to run into. I'm pretty excited by Glenn Kamara.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He's really good, and I think different type of game to the game against Kilmarnock, where obviously he was asked to deal with Malumbu, a little bit more of a kind of physical presence in there, whereas I think against Hamilton he just showed some nice tidy play. And again, I do want to compliment Ryan Jack in terms of being able to go forward with the ball. Kamara's allowing him, as you say, a little bit more opportunity to do that. But Jack's forward passing is really, really good. His goal was absolutely fantastic as well. In terms of his overall finish. So, as you say, it's nice to see these little enhancements and player relationships developing. You know, Candeias and Tavernier's one that we've already known about. I keep saying it, but we have to sign Ryan Kent because I'm really excited by this boy. He just doesn't stop trying. And I think Andy Halliday, certainly gives him that leash to be able to get and go forward and give him the protection. So, no, coming back to Kamara, I think Kamara's 50 grand is nothing. Let's face it, and I think he's already shown that he's fit into that midfield really, really nicely.
And first half especially, some of the passing, the slickness, creating a lot of chances, some real desperate defending, I thought, by Hamilton at times. And let's be fair, we ran all over the top of Hamilton. They were very, very poor. Some real desperate defending, including from Darian McKinnon, who seems to have styled himself as a kind of Liddell version of Scott Brown. His whole game predicated on, I support Celtic and I've got a bit of a scary stare. Any wonder that Andy Halliday just laughed him off the park?
No, I think he's probably going to try and copy Brown's tattoos next as well, because he's certainly trying to copy him facially and also copy his haircut as well. So, it's the old adage, and Ian, Jimmy, you and I have been around long enough to see it. If it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, then that's what you call it out for.
It looks like a prick. It probably is. Almost 6,000, or officially 6,000 fans in there. We could wax on lyrical for half an hour, I would think, about the Rangers' performance. But just to focus on Hamilton for a wee second, Cammy. Official attendance almost 6,000 there. I'm going to guess that there was definitely, because they counted the tickets, over 3,500 Rangers fans, which meant there was just shy of 2,300 Hamilton fans officially there. Didn't look anything like that. Their area was pretty sparse, and it makes me wonder about the sacking of Martin Canning. That Martin Canning, effectively keeping Hamilton in the top flight for 4 years, gets the sack because they're in about the bottom. They're not performing very well. Makes me wonder what Hamilton actually expect from that side. There's Brian Rice taking over. he got a draw and a win, and then 2 defeats, and they've shipped 7 goals to both to Hibs and Rangers. They look as if they're going to struggle to stay up, surely.
Yeah, I think they will. Brian Rice came out and said in his post-match yesterday that he felt that we played some really, really nice bits of play. I don't know if he understands he's not allowed to compliment Rangers in the mainstream media, so I dare say he was probably misquoted or something like that. But I think he has to kind of toughen up a little bit, if I'm being perfectly honest, because that Hamilton team, especially that kind of back four, I think look pretty rudderless at the moment. So yeah, they're absolutely going to have to tidy it up, I think.
I usually go there expecting a tough game, and indeed in both Steven Gerrard's interview and Kyle Lafferty's post-match interview, they both mentioned, you're coming here, you're expecting a hard game. Neither of them mentioned the pitch, which was nice. Steven Gerrard focused on the midfield, focused on dominating the ball, focused on chances and scoring chances. And Kyle Lafferty, I think he was just blunt and honest, and basically said, I've been desperate for a goal for my confidence. So, honesty from the Ulster Gazelle, but it's, I'll reiterate, it's great to see him scoring.
Well, it is. And listen, Ian, it's not a surprise that Kyle Lafferty scores and Brendan Rodgers now immediately wants to move to Leicester, because he knows that Lafferty has come back here to deliver the title, and now his goal scoring streak has started slightly earlier than expected. So, I mean, read from that what you will. No, it's good, and I think that you saw Lafferty yesterday when he scored the goal. It was good for him to be able to go on. Good for us to have the option of bringing strikers on, or bringing players on, I beg your pardon, because obviously Davis came on at the same time as well. Once the game's completely settled, which certainly we've been calling out from the pod for a number of weeks now. So yeah, absolutely.
That was good to see, and it's so it's on to Dundee at Ibrox on Wednesday night, and we've just got to keep on winning, Cammy. You did mention there a certain manager being touted elsewhere. I'm sure not by his current employers, honest. But you do have Big Lafferty that he has started scoring. It's still February. Imagine what he's going to be like in March. So I know Dundee's still February, but we've also got Alfredo Morelos back. Yeah,
and I think one of the things is kind of what we watched the game in the pub yesterday. We were up north for the weekend. And one of the things that we were talking about was it's good that we can live life without Morelos, because it looked like for a certain period of time we were incapable of doing so. And I think the really great thing for that is that we are now in a space where we've got 5 different goal scorers. I'm glad to see Tav back on penalties and obviously converting them. But for me, it's been really good that we've bridged that little spell when we've been without Alfie. The players have been given a boost. It's not as if we've just been scraping by. We've turned on some excellent performances. And the kind of Brucey bonus for me, I think, was him obviously getting the 4 goals in a game that he wouldn't have featured in had obviously circumstances not conspired to go our way. So no, he'll come back. He'll come back into a team that will be full of confidence, and he'll be full of confidence as well. So, as I say, we've been. I think we've been very fortunate, but we've made our own luck as well. I think that, as I say, we've played very, very well. We've played with a degree of conviction, which I always like to see Rangers teams doing. So I'm not very, very pleased.
And on to Wednesday night, 7:45 at Ibrox. I think if you're taking short holidays, it's maybe on places, but I'll certainly be there, Cammy. I'm guessing you will be too. So I guess the other main talking point from yesterday's match, certainly, and I say that loosely, I say talking point really quite loosely, it's maybe more apt to say Rangers won, so the main talking point from the mainstream media wasn't actually the game. Instead, it was a banner. Now the extra show at the back end of last week kind of covered Steve Clarke gate, and we've talked about it on a variety of pods over the weekend, but the main talking point was instead a banner, and the Union Bears, I think it was anyway, unfurled the banner at the game saying "Get well soon, Steve Clarke." Cammy, I found that pretty amusing, because we get we take ourselves, I think, in Scotland a little bit too seriously at times, and that was not taking it very seriously. And in the face of, let's face it, some panty-wetting nonsense that would have you think we were living in 1970s Northern Ireland. Problem I've got with the nonsense of the past few days, Cammy, is that selective nature of hysterical condemnation. Steve Clarke's a good example. You know, he uses 50 or so voices last Wednesday to deflect from a gubbing. The song was an own goal. Of course it was. But he's deflecting from a gubbing. I'd take him more seriously if the previous Sunday he went all guns blazing to defend his player. He didn't. Instead, he told us he was concentrating on his team. He doesn't often hear the crowd. And he reiterated that pre-match our game last Wednesday when he was asked whether the Celtic fans' behaviour worried him, and he said no, not really. So to go from that to post-match Wednesday, forgive me if I failed to take that too seriously, Cammy, and the selective hearing. And both he and others, including many journalists who, again, become quite selective in the reporting, almost as if it's, you know, one in general, or one specifically, sorry, said he only mentioned it because Steve Clarke made it the news. He wasn't bothered about the other incident. Again, possible selectivity because it pays the mortgage. David came up with a word for it: selectarianism. One or two media men have actually cottoned onto that, Cammy. It's that one-way agenda. Dress up the agenda by saying if you ask questions of why you're not bothered about other instances, it becomes whataboutery. For me, it's not. It's figuring out whether you're serious or whether you're a fraud with an agenda. And I'll say it again. I've said this a number of times, Cammy, over a number of pods. I am all for eradicating all sectarianism. There is no requirement to be calling Steve Clarke a Fenian. None. It's an own goal. I absolutely prefer it to stop. Don't need it. One of the outcomes you naturally will get, especially when there's hysteria in the mainstream media, is it'll lead to folk being lifted. So I'd rather you didn't have hysteria. I'd rather Steven Gerrard wasn't having to talk about it, and I'd rather the inevitability of our fans being lifted didn't happen. But Cammy, I'm even-handed. I want it to stop on all sides. That's not what about it. I just think that's kind of fair and even-minded. So, do you think I'm being harsh?
I don't think you're being harsh, but there's a number of different factors here. The first one is you're completely correct. If we can remove that opportunity to give Steve Clarke ammunition and the mainstream media opposition, we should absolutely do it. We've got more than enough songs about Rangers that glorify our club rather than going down a sectarian route. All right, so let's just call that out for what it is. However, what I will say is I will not be given lessons on morality from, let's say, another club who's perfectly happy to support their fans groups when they have paramilitary lyrics and advertising as slogans on their use of the word Hun. Perfectly acceptable at Parkhead, and also various other things such as hanging effigies, etc., which we've been forced to put up with, that doesn't seem to have had this same kind of media outcry. The second thing is, I saw that the BBC's Jonathan Sunderland was surprised at the fact that there was a Steve Clarke banner. Well, this is the BBC, who are perfectly happy to display as part of a Rangers story a decapitated head of Ryan Jack. So again, I will not take lessons of morality from that shower. And the final thing is, I think for me, is Steve Clarke. I could almost have a degree of sympathy for Steve Clarke if he came out at some point after Wednesday's game and said, listen, my team get gubbed. I was emotional. I should be focused more on what matters, which is how my team performed on the night, where those gaps were, etc. So I would have more respect for him if he actually did that. Then he starts coming out with a number of questionable statements. Now, I'm not suggesting that he's lying. That's for people to come up to their own conclusions. But he's then going to tell us that he wasn't aware of the Chris Boyd sectarian chanting. Now, what I'm really curious to know, and what I'd really like a journalist to ask him is, Okay, so you weren't aware of it as in you didn't hear it, or you weren't aware of it as in Boyd never told you. So what is it? Because if Boyd never told him, how did he not hear it? So he's backed himself completely into a corner there. And as I said on Heart and Hand Extra last week, Steve Clarke is in the midst of the longest job interview that's ever been known in the history of man. And what I think he's now doing is he's not savvy enough and he's not smart enough to be able to try and play the kind of game that he wants to play, because he wants to be able to remove focus off of himself and the fact that Kilmarnock have really toiled. So as far as I'm concerned, he needs to be able to get his football team doing his talking for him, and he's not doing that at the moment. So I would be perfectly happy. I thought the banner was excellent. I thought it was very ironic. I thought it was very funny and well done to the Union Bears. Whilst this problem exists, the groups such as the Union Bears can help us be able to eradicate things like that from our songbook. But I really couldn't care less about Steve Clarke's feelings. I really couldn't. I'm not interested whatsoever in placating him.
I think when you've got Mr. Clarke, certain folk from another club, and the media at large, you know, let's take a step back and ask yourself, do they want sectarianism to end? The answer's no, because it pays the bills for them. And you've only got to look at the, as I say, hysteria. That's what it's been. I agree, Cammy. I thought the banner was good. I thought it was funny. I thought it was. I thought it was just poking fun at the hysterical reaction. And actually, do you know? Yes, you maybe don't want to make light of it. You maybe don't want to make light of it as a serious issue, but by God, not taking ourselves too seriously in the face of hysterical panty wetting. Yeah, I thought it was good. All good. However, enough of that nonsense, and we will move on now to the first of the other two parts of the show, and we will go all the way to New Zealand for David Edgar and Gordon Watson.
Hello folks, it's David here, and a wee bit different this week on Heart and Hand because I am currently in Auckland and I am here for the 2019 ORSA, that's the Oceanic Ranger Supporters Association Conference. I've just been in Melbourne for a few days and did a show there at the Melbourne City Loyal Ranger Supporters Club with Stuart Monroe, so I'm having a ball. And joining me now is from the Kiwi True Blues and the hosts of this year's event is Gordon Watson. Hello Gordon.
Hi David. Hi everyone.
Now for those of you, a lot of you may know Gordon because he's been quite a visible face at Ibrox a couple of times, or a few times over the last few years, and that's saying something because trust me, I have learned this is a bastard of a journey. You are quite far away.
Yeah, it's Antarctica after this, quite literally. So, yeah.
This is far away, but we're going to have a little talk about ORSA and we're going to have a little talk about the convention. But before we do that, we'll start with Sunday's match. Rangers took on Hamilton, plastic pitch, etc, etc, and maybe our best away performance of the season.
Yeah, look, it was 5-0, but it was going on 10 or 15. Yeah. I think that we really put down a marker for playing on a plastic pitch as well. And a wee bit frustrating that over the last couple of weeks, you know, we've scored 10 goals and we're looking great. And you think back to some of these games where we've played sides and struggled.
St Johnstone the week before.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I think that for me is probably the key thing, is that I've got faith in this team to bounce back. I think they're good at that. My problem is that I don't know when they're going to chuck in a St Johnstone or a Kilmarnock away, you know, that type of performance.
Yeah, well, you look at the league table and the gap that's opened up, and any one of us can point to the games in the first part of the season and go, yeah, Livy away, and that's the frustrating part. But the good part about that is that we also know that we're still close. You know, we're not that far away, and that's got to keep us going, especially with Dundee coming up on Thursday our time, and then quarter-final of the Cup.
Yeah, I hope you heard that. That's Thursday over here the game is. So it's a different world. But yeah, a good performance. And I think a lot of it came from... I'm always impressed when Rangers start at a good tempo. I think that's the really important thing for us. When we don't get the tempo right, we tend to struggle. Whereas when we do get the tempo right and we go at it from the start, we get the first goal, we look hungry. we don't let the opposition settle. And poor Hamilton. Now, we should probably caveat this: Hamilton are not very good, but that doesn't mean you've still got to go and put them away in style, and that's what Rangers did.
Yeah, absolutely. And without Morales as well.
Yeah,
Jermaine Defoe's been doing the job, and I think he's been a great acquisition. But
that's 4 already.
Yeah,
I mean, that is not bad. He's going to get double figures for this season as a bit part player, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, look, he's ticked all the boxes since he's come in. At 36 years of age, he's had to find his feet. He's adjusted better than Stephen Davis.
Yeah,
to date.
Yeah, that's
still a question mark over that for me. We have to sort of wait and see whether or not his legs are what they are now, or whether he can get his legs together.
Yeah, I mean, we know he's got quality. It is just about fitness and whatnot. But Rangers played, as I say, very well. And for me, the key, Gordon, was the midfield. And it's only 2 games. And I'm not getting carried away because at the start of the season, at the start of the season, I thought Koulibaly looked like, oh my God, where'd they find this boy? He's amazing. And he just dipped and he's never really come back. So I'll wait. But I have to say, in the 2 appearances I've seen Glenn Kamara, or 3 appearances now, sorry, I'm thinking, wow, this boy. I mean, for 50 grand, he justified his signing by us just getting through to the next round of the Cup, where he was excellent. But the other day, he just seems to free up Jack and Arfield, who both had great games.
Yeah, look, he's got pedigree as well. We've picked up a player. You were talking about it on the golden years, 92, 93. We used to get a little Christmas present.
Yeah.
In the transfer back then when there was no transfer
Stefan
window.
Kloss.
Yeah, and the Van Vossen deal as that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks like a good signing, a good solid signing as well. And I mean, Jack was able to score a goal. He's only got 3 this season, so
he's getting there though. Goal machine. It was a lovely goal. I thought Jack was probably my man of the match. I thought he was excellent. Not more attacking role. Just getting forward and being able to make passes and dictate the play. And I think maybe it was a case of him saying, right, I trust the guy behind me now. I don't feel a need to be back there helping out. Hamilton don't have an awful lot in their team. Although how funny was when that little Scott Brown lookalike prick was so desperate to score, he forgot about the offside rule.
Yeah, look, I can't stand that guy. I mean,
why would you want to look like Scott Brown?
It's a mystery to me.
No, of all the people in the world that you can hate, that one was news in me. So,
we're painted on shorts and all.
He's really set himself up as a kind of wannabe, and it's quite sad. Pirlo, I get that, right? I get that. It's fair enough. I want to look like him. Zidane, no. Scott Brown, not for me. Yeah. But and Rangers went on. Lafferty got a goal, which means both of our backup strikers, if you like. I mean, that'll be good for their confidence.
Well, yeah, especially for Lafferty. I think when was his last league goal? September.
Ooh, yeah,
perhaps we're talking September. So it's good to see him getting in amongst it. He's been disappointing. Yeah,
it's make or break for him, I think, this period.
So, yeah.
Even just to get another year as a backup, I think he's got to impress the gaffer. But to be fair, he did.
Yeah,
he did all right when he came on.
When he signed, I had quite high expectations. I was always a bit so-so because of some of the things with Lafferty that he brings to the table.
His personality.
That one.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big one. And there were a couple of things that happened. The thing that got in the press with him and social media or whatnot.
Yes.
And I thought, he's back here and he's blowing it again. But if he can pick up a few goals, especially with the way that we're being shown red cards and getting players retrospectively suspended, then it's more than welcome.
That was one of the funniest things for me in the Kilmarnock match. Was as soon as Alfie gets hat trick, the entire stand turned around and screamed at Stevie G, "Take him off!" Because you just feared the referee would send him off. So good win. Now it seems Rangers can't win a game without there being some controversy, and the controversy came with a banner that Rangers fans at the match unfurled, which I'll put my cards on the table. I thought was quite funny. It just said "Get well soon, Steve Clark," in reference to Steve Clark, who you might have been forgiven thinking last week was dying, judging by some of the press reports after he had the song sung at him. And of course they've come out in outrage against that. Look, it's quite alright as far as I can see to have a debate about sectarianism if you're genuine about it. The problem for a lot of Rangers fans is there's a feeling that it's not genuine and it's just a stick to beat us, and that was exemplified by the reaction to Boyd's comments and the difference in reaction to Clark's comments. But something like that, I think, is harmless, and it's this almost insistence that we all have to think the way they want us to think. We can't disagree at all. Steve Clark is a victim, and that's all there is to it. It's as if since Lennon left, they need somebody now to be their poster boy for aren't Rangers fans bastards.
Well, there's a tremendous meme going around at the minute, the Scooby-Doo meme, where the mask gets lifted of Steve Clark and it's Neil Lennon, and I think that's just, I think that tells its own story. If you can find that on social media. But look, living on this side of the planet, and then it gives you literally a lot of distance. But and I work in the media, sports media, and in football, and I look at this the way that it's set up, and I can't help but think when I talk to New Zealand colleagues who have no connection to Scotland about it, and they just shake their heads and think, look, this is crazy. What's going on in Scottish football, especially the refereeing. I mean, I did work with the Auckland Football Federation. I used to sit on a Monday morning with the Rangers games on RTV, and I'd play back key moments in games. I'd get the director of refereeing to say, what do you think of that? It'd just be, he shrugs his shoulders, and that tells its own story as well.
Thank God they don't work here.
Well, yeah, perhaps.
It's it has been beyond a joke recently, and like I say, a guy on Twitter pointed out that after every of our last, I think, 10 wins, there has been an issue in the paper afterwards, and it does. I'm a great believer in patterns pointing to something, and that one certainly suggests that. But enough about all of that. Let's move on to literally why I'm here and why you're not going to sleep for the next week or so, and that's the ORSA Convention 2019. I suppose, first of all, for those who don't know, explain kind of what ORSA is. They might have heard of NARSA, and ORSA is the, if you like, this side of the world equivalent.
Yeah, well, it's the Oceania Rangers Supporters Association, and it's made up of supporters clubs from, well, not just around the Pacific, New Zealand, Australia, it's South Africa, Hong Kong as well, Southeast Asian Rangers supporters clubs in Singapore, and we get together every year to meet ex-players, talk about the club, rekindle friendships, watch games, and meet our heroes, and
thanks. That's why I'm here.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why you're here, because look, Heart and Hand, not to be funny or blow smoke up your ass, Heart and Hand forms a crucial part of keeping up with what's going on with the club. And we're both born in the 70s, and there was no internet, and I said to Hoggy I had to wait for bundles of newspapers and match programs and VHS cassettes. This time of day I'm normally listening to the Daily Update.
Right. It's 6 o'clock in the morning here, folks.
Yeah, and get into work, and I might catch the first 10 minutes of one of the other shows, and that's now the daily routine. And by mid-morning on our Facebook chat group, we're all talking about what we heard and what we thought.
Oh, that's really cool, and I mean, I think that has been one of the things that it's great to go on a trip list for me, because you discover what it's like, and the stuff that maybe back home we take for granted. Because I mean, for guys to get together, kick-off times, we complain about them in the UK for Christ's sake, but kick-off times for you guys are 5:45 in the morning, middle of the night. I mean, when I was in Australia, there's quick kick-off times at 2 in the morning, and I think it's important for people to realise that, especially these days, it's easy for you guys to just I'll just watch it in the house, but to build a sense of community, people make that effort, they get together, and I think because of that, I was walking about in Sydney and Melbourne in a Rangers talk with a couple of bears, and people were saying Rangers, and it's guys like you that spread the message of the club and help to maintain it as a worldwide institution.
Yeah, and it's part of who you are. You might be a long way away, and for me, one generation away, in terms of my father leaving Scotland after World War II. But when it's part of who you are, then you will not let it go. You just can't. It defines the way you see the world in many ways, and football is a tremendous vehicle for bringing people together, and we've been able to overcome a couple of the challenges with having a football team. We call them the Kiwi True Blues FC, but they're really the Kiwi True Blues young team, and because we can't all be meeting up at 3:30 in the morning, bleary-eyed, and it returned us to a more cohesive, normal club feel. And ORSA is the icing on the cake for it, because we last hosted in 2009. So it's been 10 years, and we ended up hosting this time around because a lot of us went to Sydney 3 years ago, and it was Alberts, Moles, Goff, Gavin Ray, Stuart Robertson was there, and it was just an amazing time. And I think in a weak moment at the HEM,
I'll do it.
yeah, we'll do it. And then 3 years later, now here we are.
Now some big names coming out this year to this.
Oh yeah, Ian Ferguson for one. I've never met Ian Ferguson. He's been across a lot with his involvement in the A-League as a player, and now then as a coach with Perth Glory. What a player he was.
Oh, he was amazing.
He epitomised everything that the club stands for, personified on the pitch, the way that he played. And I've always been fascinated with how he changed his game, like you mentioned it quite a bit when you were talking about Ian Ferguson. And I mean, I always remember him for that goal in the Skull Cup final.
Yes, the hitch kick thing.
Yeah. But then he could be something else as well. He could be an enforcer, and to have him be amazing.
He's one of the guys that I think when I think in modern football we all tend to go, he does this and that's it. Whereas if you look at him, he's young, attacking midfielder, great at getting into the box, scored goals, but then when it was needed, he dropped back, became a holding midfielder, could control the game with his passing. So a good midfielder should be able to do a bit of everything, I think, and he could.
And across two important eras for the club, with the tail end of the failed 10 in a row and 9 in a row, and then the Dick Advocaat era, because I thought he would be one of them that would be away with maybe Gordon Jerry. They both ended up.
So did he. He said that he thought he would be on his bike.
Yeah, well, he turned out to be a very important cog.
Yeah, he was that first year. He really was, and a link between as you say, the two eras. 10 medals, 10 league medals. I mean, that, I don't know if anyone will achieve that again. I mean, that's back when it counted. Not like a couple of Celtic players might have managed it, but that doesn't count, as we all know. And of course, a homegrown son of Australasia, and that's Craig Moore.
I was always jealous as all buggery of Craig Moore, because we're roughly the same age, and there he was doing it. He was involved with Rangers, and although at the time, especially early on, he was getting a lot of stick, he came through that, and then to become captain, and it's tremendous to have him part of it. He always had a Scottish accent as well, like an Aussie hybrid accent, kind of like Alberts has.
Yes. Nobody's is as good as his though. Lovenkrands is good.
Lovenkrands is very good.
When he does the RTV, I always think that his is, because he can just lapse into these little bits of Scottishness. And they'll be attending the events, and also there are events like the Absent Friends football match, and there's tours of Auckland and stuff, because I mean, certainly from my point of view, this is really exciting, because it's one of those places that I think everybody wants to go to, but you think I'll probably never get the opportunity to do it. And so to be here, I'm like, wow, it's great to be doing all that, but the added bonus of where it is.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. I mean, we've got 150 guests coming from all over the world. People are coming from the UK, South Africa, of course Australia because of the proximity. And
that close 4 hours I was on that bloody flight for.
Yeah. Well, that's the local neighbourhood to us. It's like a bus trip, especially when you compare it to heading back to Scotland to watch a game. Yeah,
18 hours flight for me to Dubai on the way back, and then 8 hours from Dubai to Scotland. But I'm not complaining. I am complaining, but I shouldn't. I'll put it that way. And Stuart Robertson is over from the club as well, and that's an opportunity for you guys to hear directly from him what's been going on and what the plans are for the next year.
Yeah, Stuart's been good enough to attend this year, and there's a section of the AGM dedicated to a Q&A with him, and he gets put under the microscope by fans at ORSA, and he meets it head on. He's a fantastic person. I met him in Sydney 3 years ago. and after what we'd been through, with the spivs and whatnot, he was a breath of fresh air. There was still a little bit of scrutiny, of course, because of what we've been through as well. But I think the club, with respect to ORSA's in a healthy place, that we get to have that opportunity and don't feel forgotten or left out.
Fantastic. So if people want to, if those of you who are on Heart and Hand Patreon, I'll be doing some stuff from the convention on that, so you'll see that. I'll have some about it in next week's show as well. But if they want to find out, you've got some social media that people can go and have a look at.
Yes, so you can find us on Twitter at ORSA 2019. We're on Facebook as well. We've got an ORSA 2019 page where we're going to update timings around some of the key events. If people need to find out information, they can go there. The website, kiwitrueblues.com. Not updated as frequently, but there is information on there that will be helpful. And we've got an online guide too that's got phone numbers in there if you you need some help and you're a visitor to Auckland, and the committee will help you out.
Brilliant. Gordon, thanks for doing this for me, and thanks for inviting me over here.
Well, I've never been part of a daily update where you're in the car and it's at this time of day, so it's quite surreal.
This is what I do now. I record my conversations with people and then sell it. Nobody gets to talk to me now with it turning out a profit. Okay, folks, thanks very much. I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers, bye.
Our thanks to David and Gordon all the way across in Auckland, New Zealand. Before we go, we will have that third part to the show that we promised you, taken from today's daily update, Monday the 25th of February 2019. And I caught up with Andy McGowan to discuss Rangers' half-year financial results. So one other piece of news for today, and that's Rangers International Football Club PLC published their unaudited trading results for the first 6 months to the 31st of December 2018. Certainly on the face of it, results, certainly compared to recent times, appear very strong, driven by our excellent run in the European Europa League, impacting both the prize money earned and the commercial opportunities to go along with it. So revenue seems significantly up. Debt in the shape of loans is down, thanks to the planned share issue. But here to explain what it means in noddy terms, so simpletons like me can understand it, is Andy McGowan. Andy, I hope you're well.
I'm good, Hoggy. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, all good. So, big man, you fancy giving us a bit of a breakdown? And what we'll do is we're going to use it on the daily update, but also the flagship, so all the Tims can hear it as well.
Hello, Tims. So, listen, I'll give you my usual caveats. I've only had a very brief look at it, and a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about is from memory. So if there's any mistakes, let us know, leave a comment, but it should be there or thereabouts, because these are very positive, and as you've said, they cover the 6 months, which are they're absolutely the most important 6 months of the financial year for our club, because what it does, it covers the season ticket intake, it covers for this season the European money, extra games we've played for that, and then obviously any cup ties that we've played. So this is a lion's share of our revenue, and they're a very, very good indicator of how the overall year is going to shape up, because the second half of the financial year is very, very different, because there's no major bangs for income such as the season tickets, and if we're not in Europe, then obviously there's no more European money coming in. But as you alluded to, Ian, the profit, there is a profit. So there was a profit at the interim period last year, which was just under £1 million, and this year it's 6.7 million. So that's obviously the first thing you look at and say, right, that's a very good indicator of how the end of year results are going to look, because if you're ahead of the game for the first 6 months, the second 6 months are going to be obviously a wee bit sparser in terms of income, so that helps get you towards a point where you think, well, maybe there'll either be a profit or break even. As you say, a big thing is that the interest-free loans that we had from our directors and investors of 11.1 million, they were converted from actual loans on the books to equity. So for in layman's terms, basically, these guys have given us 11.1 million in loans. They've been paid back, not in cash, but they've been paid back in shares in the business in Rangers. So personally speaking, Hoggy, and I think you'll probably agree with me, we need to remember how lucky we are that we've had these guys at this point in time in the recovery from what happened in 2011, 2012, because I think you don't need to look far in terms of British football to see where benefactors are not really benefactors. They're actually just people that are taken from the club under the guise of giving to the club. So personally, I'll always be grateful for these guys. I think they go unsung. I think a lot of it is taken for granted now, but it'll never be taken for granted by me. A big thing I noticed is the revenue. So revenue is the income for the 6 months. So last year's interim results, the revenue was 19.4 million. This year it's 35 million, which is a massive increase, absolutely massive. And to give you some context, Hoggy, in 2012, so I think that was the first interim reports under Charles Green and Stockbridge and those hallowed names, the revenue was 9.5 million. So we've more than trebled the 6 month interim revenue there. So a massive indicator of recovery. I think it's a massive indicator of the importance of European money, because to go from 19.4 last year to 35 million, I don't know if that was solely down to European money, but it's going to have a large part in it. And what we're doing as a club, is it appears, is that when there's an incremental increase in revenue, there's an incremental increase in spending. And by spending, hopefully, and I think it is the case, that's player wages, football side of things, football investment, the youth system. And according to the 6 months interim report, we're up 10 million for last year. So we're spending 10 million more over the 6 months than we did over the 6 months last year. The operating expenses for the full 12 months, the last accounts we had that came out at the end of 2018, we had operating expenses of just under £39 million. So again, it gives perspective, in 2012, the operating expenses for the full year in 2012 were 16.6 million. So we've doubled our spending, if you like. So that's an indication of how much is getting spent running the club, investing in the playing side and stuff like that. And then there's a wee operating profit for 6 months of 3.8 million. So that's a very good indicator. It was 1.1 last year. But what I liked the most is I always refer to I struggle to say this, EBITDA, the earnings before interest, tax, depreciation. So the reason that's so important, and why I always kind of argued the toss with anybody that wanted to listen, because the last accounts you recall was a fairly hefty loss, 14 million or something like that. But when you actually look at the accounts, the thing that you want to look for a true reflection of how the company's performing, how the business is running day to day, was the EBITDA, which is essentially your revenue less your expenses before you take into account the tax and depreciation interest. So the board have actually indicated that we're on target for an EBITDA at the end of the full financial year, which is break even there or thereabouts. Last year we had an EBITDA which was £4.2 million loss. So essentially what we're saying last year was that day to day we lost about £4.2 million over the course of the year. And that's where your investors, Dave King, the Three Bears, Douglas Park, all these, John Bennett, all these kind of guys are then chipping in to make up that loss, or making up that loss, and are probably putting in more to keep the acceleration of growth going. So if we get to the end of this financial year and the day-to-day running of the club is break even or thereabouts, exceptionally good news, because what it means is we're back to trading day-to-day on an even keel. It also means that if these guys are still minded to put money into the club, it's not going to be money that's coming into the club to pay off or to right side losses. It'll be money that's there for pure investment. That might not be the case. They might be figuring that in the future they might need to right side losses if there's no European money. So overall, I was delighted to see that. I am not surprised at it, because this is where I get to say, not so much I told you so, but I was always very, very sanguine about what was happening at the club since Dave King came in, because I could see a trajectory. I knew exactly what was to be required. It was going to be incremental growth to see the turnover return to a normal level. And I'd always referred back to where we were before the troubles happened. We were about 45 to 50 million pounds income. That generally had at least a couple of European games in there of some sort. And we're seeing that normalisation happen year on year, and this is the closest we've been to getting back. We might even be there by the end of the full financial year. Sorry, Hoggy.
It sounds, Andy, as if it's. I mean, certainly, I can't imagine in the slightest the board would have budgeted on having the Europa League, the Europa League group stages.
Oh.
I would imagine they would have budgeted for, say, to the third qualifying round. Everything over and above that is effectively a bonus. I think Dave King had previously said that he expected money required in this season from the investors. So as you say, either that's not the case, we can, they can bank that and hopefully use it in further years, or it goes in and it goes to further growth projects. But overall, that positive effect of European football, whilst it was disappointing at the time not to get through into basically February, bloody hell, it's done the power of good.
Well, that was my kind of closing shot. Is that everything's very, very positive, but we have to be very, very aware of where we are in terms of potential threats. And the potential threat is what you've just said. If we don't have European football coming in, then these accounts would look a hell of a lot different. I do think there's probably been spending on the back of it, because let's remember, we knew before the end of the window that we'd progressed to at least one round. But I think there's also a plan in place, because we do seem to have a footballing side, footballing with Mark Allen and so forth, that if we don't make European football, then it'll be player sales that will make up the difference. So obviously we get Morelos and things like that, but there's also a signal towards the Bosman model, where we're getting guys like Jones and Kamara, where you're getting them for essentially nothing, and you could sell them tomorrow without losing a penny. So I do think that there is a safeguard that if we don't make European football maybe 1 out of 2 or 3 years, there will be a safeguard in the player sales, which is only natural. But it is critical. And I think we need to remember how monumentally hard it was to get to the group stages this year. You think back at some of the ties, Jufa, Maribor, and all this kind of stuff. It was really a magnificent effort to get there. So Steven Gerrard deserves every bit of financial backing he gets, because he's created it.
So to sum up, good news, and it's isn't it nice to have a wee bit of financial good news, Andy? I'm not entirely sure I'm going to believe it though until dog-food eating, tinfoil hat wearing bloggers tell me about it.
Well, that's where I get my news. I don't read the Financial Times anymore. I go straight to these kind of blogs and make my investment decisions based on that, because you can't get better.
Exactly.
But on a serious note, the kind of thing I would leave guys to the listeners to take is that back in the dark old days, 2013, our turnover was less than 20 million quid. Our turnover is going to be, I don't know, we'll be well into the 40 millions anyway this year. And personally, I'm very, very happy with the guys we've got at the forefront of the board. I think they've got the best interests. I think that's irrefutable given the money they've put in and the way that they've been repaid. I think there's a wee bit more legwork to be done. I think they know that, and I think they're prepared to put their money where their mouth is as well. And I think at this moment in time, the Rangers support should be very grateful and should be giving them the backing. And of course, we also give our backing in terms of the financial input as everybody's bank statements. So no Hoggy, that if we put our money where our mouth is, these guys are matching us as well. And if we do that, then things will happen.
A nice way to start up, mate. Thanks for listening, Andy. I appreciate it.
No worries, Hoggy.
So I hope you enjoyed the pod today with the game and the aftermath with David and Gordon over there in New Zealand, and of course with Andy McGowan, gorgeous Andy, and the financial half-year results. All that's left for me to do is to thank my co-host, Cameron James Bell, very much. Cammy, thank you.
Ian, a pleasure as always. Wonderful job.
Thank you very much. On to Wednesday, and Cammy, I hope your team wins. Goodbye.